They say every legend has a shadow. Someone who walked the same blood-soaked path, who understood the weight of the same impossible choices. For John Wick, his shadow had a name. Marcus Kane. The rain fell like a requiem over the New Jersey countryside. John sat on the porch, a cup of cooling coffee in his hands, watching the storm roll in from the east. It had been 6 months since the high table fell. 6 months since they told him he was free. They lied. A black sedan appeared through the rain. John didn't reach for the gun under his chair. Not yet. He just watched, noting the make, the model, the way it handled the terrain. Professional driver. The car stopped 50 feet from the porch. Then she stepped out. Sophia. From Casablanca. She climbed the porch steps, water streaming from her hair. We need to talk about Marcus. The name hit him like a fist. Marcus Kane. The man who'd taught him half of what he knew. The man he'd watched die in an alley 10 years ago. Marcus is dead. That's what they wanted you to believe. Sophia pulled out a photograph. Marcus, older but unmistakable, standing outside a monastery in the Carpathian Mountains. John's hand moved to the gun. Not pointing. Just touching. I buried him. You buried a body. Sophia stepped closer. The high table kept him alive as leverage. In case you ever became too dangerous. Which you did. She pulled out another photo. Words written in blood on a monastery wall. Baba Yaga. Come home. 3 days ago, someone hit the monastery. Killed 12 monks. Marcus is gone. And whoever took him wants you to know about it. Sophia's voice dropped. Alexei Volkov. The Red Circle. He survived that night, John. And he's been waiting. John looked out at the rain. He thought about Helen. About peace. About the promise he'd made to himself. Then he thought about Marcus. About loyalty. About the code. Where do I start? Berlin. The Continental Berlin operated out of a converted opera house. John checked in using credentials Sophia had provided. The concierge was young, too young to remember him, old enough to recognize danger. Mr. Wick. We weren't expecting you. I wasn't expecting to be here. His room overlooked the city. He laid out his tools with mechanical efficiency. 2 pistols. Spare magazines. A knife that had tasted blood in 17 countries. The knock came at midnight. John opened the door to find a woman in tactical black. She held out a phone. He wants to talk to you. Alexei. The voice that came through was rough, scarred. John Wick. The man who killed my brother. The man who destroyed my empire. The man who thought he could walk away. What do you want? What do I want? I want what you took from me. A bitter laugh. But since I can't have that, I'll settle for watching you suffer. Marcus Kane. Your mentor. Your weakness. He's alive. For now. Where is he? Tomorrow night. The old Red Circle site. You remember it. You burned it to the ground once. Now you'll come back. Alone. Unarmed. And maybe I'll let the old man live. If you hurt him. You'll what? Kill me? You already tried that. The voice became softer, more dangerous. You think you destroyed everything that night? You just scattered it. We rebuilt in the shadows you created. Now we're going to show you what you really made. The line went dead. John stood in the darkness. He thought about going alone, as instructed. Then he thought about Marcus, who taught him that honor meant nothing if you were too dead to keep your promises. He made 3 calls. To Sharon. To the Bowery King. To Sophia. If I don't call you by sunrise, burn everything Alexei Volkov ever loved. The old red circle site was a ruin. John approached from the east, moving through shadows like he'd been born to them. He'd lied about coming unarmed. The building's interior was lit by work lights. In a cleared space, tied to a chair, was Marcus. Alive. His eyes met John's across the distance, and in them was a warning. Too late. The impact came from behind. A tranquilizer dart. John felt it punch into his shoulder, felt the cold spread of chemicals. He spun, reaching for the knife, but his limbs were growing heavy. Alexei Volkov stepped from the shadows. Scarred now, half his face reconstructed. But the eyes were the same. Filled with hatred that had fermented into something pure and terrible. John Wick. So predictable. So honorable. So easy to trap. Alexei kicked John's knife away as he fell to his knees. Did you really think I'd play fair? John tried to speak, but his tongue was numb. I spent 3 years in a burn unit, Alexei said, circling him. 3 years planning this moment. And you know what I realized? Killing you would be too quick. He pulled out a gun. Walked to Marcus. Pressed the barrel to the old man's head. Him or them. Your mentor or my men. You can save one. Choose. John's vision was darkening. But he forced words out. Marcus would tell you to choose them. Marcus smiled. Sad. Knowing. Proud. Damn right I would. The gunshot echoed. But it wasn't Alexei's gun. The work lights exploded. Darkness swallowed the space. John heard automatic weapons fire, heard screams, heard the precise double taps of professional execution. Then Sophia was there, cutting Marcus free, while the Bowery King's men engaged Alexei's crew. John felt hands lift him. Heard Sophia's voice. I told you not to go alone, you stubborn bastard. How? You think I didn't have you followed? She hauled him toward an exit. Now move. John's limbs were responding, the tranquilizer wearing off. He pulled free, steadying himself against a wall. Marcus. I'm fine. The old man appeared beside him, favoring his left leg but alive. Took more than that bastard to kill me. Alexei's voice cut through the chaos. Run. Run like you always do. But I'll find you. John stopped. Turned. Through the darkness and smoke, he could see Alexei's silhouette, gun raised, face twisted with rage. No, John said quietly. You won't. The shot was clean. Professional. Final. Alexei Volkov fell, and with him, the last ghost of the Red Circle died. They regrouped in a safe house outside Prague. The same city where Marcus had died a decade ago. John sat across from his old mentor, studying the scars that spoke of years in captivity. Why didn't you reach out? Marcus poured 2 glasses of bourbon. Slid one across. Because I knew you. Knew if you found out I was alive, you'd try to save me. And they would have used that. Would have turned you into exactly what you've spent years trying not to be. A weapon. A monster. Marcus drank. The high table kept me as insurance. When you brought them down, the monks who'd been guarding me helped me stay hidden. Until Alexei found me. John looked at his hands. Stained. Forever stained. It never ends, does it? The killing. The revenge. It ends when you decide it ends. Marcus leaned forward. You think violence follows you. But you walk into it. You choose it. Even when you're trying to walk away. Helen didn't want that. Helen wanted you to be happy. Being happy and being harmless aren't the same thing. The old man smiled. You ended the high table. You freed hundreds of killers from their chains. That means something. Sophia entered. It's done. Alexei's network is scattered. In a week, it'll be like he never existed. John stood, walked to the window. Prague at night, glittering with life that had no idea what moved in its shadows. The monks who helped Marcus. They died because of me. They died because Alexei was a sadist, Marcus corrected. Don't take ownership of every death. You'll go mad. Maybe I already have. Then stay mad. Marcus joined him. But stay alive. Stay free. That's what they died for. John thought about choice. About the difference between the man the world made him and the man he chose to be. I have a house. In New Jersey. Quiet. There's room. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You asking me to move in? Despite everything, John smiled. I'm saying you don't have to hide anymore. The table is gone. The old rules are dead. We can make new ones. They stood in silence. 3 killers who'd survived when everyone said they shouldn't have. 3 ghosts who'd refused to stay dead. 2 months later, John sat on his porch again. Same chair. Same coffee. Different view. Marcus was fixing the fence line. Sophia had gone back to Casablanca, but she called every week. The world had changed. The Continental was restructuring. New management. New rules. John's phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Wick. My name is Elena Petrov. There's a situation developing in Prague. The new order is having growing pains. People are dying. Innocent people. I'm calling to ask you to help build something better than what came before. John watched Marcus work. Watched the old man be something other than a weapon. My name doesn't prevent killing. It causes it. Not anymore. You freed us all. Now we're asking you to help us figure out what comes next. Not as the Baba Yaga. As John Wick. The man. He thought about Helen. About peace. About those monks. About Sophia's dogs. About the cost of walking away when you had the power to help. I'll make some calls, he said. He ended the call and looked at Marcus, who'd stopped working. Trouble? The old man called. Always. Are you going? John stood. Not like before. Not to kill. To build something. Marcus nodded. That might be harder than fighting. Probably. Good. You were always better when things were hard. John walked down the steps, joining his mentor. Together they worked in comfortable silence. 2 legends who decided that maybe the most radical thing they could do was live. But John kept his gun cleaned. Kept his skills sharp. Because sometimes, the best way to prevent violence was to be ready to answer it with overwhelming force. The shadow had returned. Not for revenge. For something harder to define and infinitely more valuable. Purpose. When death had knocked, John Wick answered first. And then he invited it in for coffee. Because that's what legends do when they stop running. They make the darkness sit down and listen.